My name is Maggie Henry. My husband Dale and I have a farm in Lawrence County, Pennsylvania, where our family has farmed for 5 generations. This is my root in the world, and I have loved my children and now my grandchildren and the stewardship of the soil here, soil that grows beautiful and diverse gardens of organic and non-genetically modified vegetables and grains. When I was growing up, our farm was a dairy. We used to slave at that monocrop, selling our milk for more than it cost to produce it. Finally, in 2009, there was another dip in the milk prices, and it precipitated a change in the way we farmed. My husband took up another line of work, and I began to do this gardening and raise heritage breed animals. My concerns at the time were political. I felt really struck with a sense of dread after Obama was reelected in 2012. I'm no prepper, but at the same time, I began to intensively research self-sufficiency. My children had flown the nest, but they were growing our family now. I just knew that I needed to be able to feed us all, and that I would need to develop new skills in order to do that. My family began to call the farm Maggie's Art. I started raising and breeding pairs of various heritage goats for milk, cheese, chickens for eggs, turkeys for meat, and finally pigs. Rather than feeding them store-bought, we started to mix our own non-GMO organic feed from the grains and scraps that we produced here, and our animals really thrived. I discovered such joy in this work, and I started to experience a high demand for the animal foods I was producing. You'd never know what a total shock I felt when I began to appear in culinary write-ups and best of the year columns. Pretty soon, no matter how many eggs I produced, demand was always larger than my supply, and a restaurant owner in Pittsburgh began contracting with me for an entire pig or more each week. Though it had never been my intention, I found myself almost suddenly in the organic farming business. Because I felt so good about the products I was selling, I felt really good about my life. Then 2 years ago, I'll never forget that day because it changed my life forever. I found out that a nearby neighbor was begging the industry for a shale gas well just for some crummy few $1,000s. Knowing that fracking is pretty dangerous, I started to really educate myself of the risks involved with natural gas wells and fracking. How could I protect our animals and know that I was not compromising the integrity of our products? For that matter, how could I expect to keep my own family safe? I objected against the well, and by now have fought for years against these guys. The more that I learned, the more certain I became that I could no longer raise these amazing animals. I just knew too much about the many scary ways the natural gas industry toxifies the environment. I couldn't keep them safe. With tears of horror in my eyes, and after a great deal of desperate procrastinating, I loaded up the trailer and took all my animal babies to the auction house, where they were bought by a nice Amish man in another county. Nowadays, I give everything I have to this fight against an industry that is ruining the future of Pennsylvania, the future of my grandchildren. I cry every day. I just can't understand how they could do this to us, and I can't understand how the people allow them to.